Good morning, race fans. I'm Dobbs Davis, U.S. editor for Seahorse Magazine, giving you the update on the 2013 Transpac, 2,225 miles from Point Fermin to Diamond Head in Hawaii. This is a classic race, and we are already into day 3. The divisions 4, 5, and 6 will be starting today, so we wanted to give a little bit of an overview of what's facing them here in the near term. Starting time today is 1 o'clock on the West Coast, Pacific Daylight Time. All times are Pacific Daylight Time in this race. Hawaii is 3 hours earlier, as everyone knows, but we want to keep to one time frame. Now you see in the frame of your player here the National Weather Service forecast for this morning. We've got unusual weather here in Los Angeles. Very uncharacteristic for mid-July. It's raining, it's no wind. There's little bits of squalls and clouds around. It's very unusual weather. The locals don't like this at all. And as you can see by our forecast here, variable winds 5 knots or less out in the Catalina Channel between Palos Verdes and Catalina Island. Our starting area, of course, is right off of Point Fermin. I'll blow that up here. Here on the Palos Verdes Peninsula, Point Fermin is there, so our starting area will be set up there in a couple of hours' time. So variable winds, 5 knots or less, not a great start for Divisions 4, 5, and 6 today. That's very much unlike what we saw for Divisions 7 and 8 on Monday, and we'll come back to that in a moment. More weather info is a data report from a buoy just outside of Santa Monica Bay. As you can see, the wind is gusting to 3.9 knots, out of the east, no doubt. So even that is certainly helping define the definition of variable winds. The prevailing winds, of course, out here are usually west-northwest, but it's a very light gradient today. However, it does get a little bit better when you look further out. This is the forecast also from the National Weather Service for California waters and Southern California coast. That area of high pressure which sits in the North Pacific, well west and northwest of the Northern California, Oregon coast. We'll see that in a big picture in a moment. But if we look down here a little bit, our forecast Point Conception to Guadalupe Island, the east of 120 degrees west longitude has those very light winds, 5 to 10 knots north-northwest. As you get further west, though, the situation gets better. So as soon as these boats can punch out and get off this light air on the coast, they can get into that prevailing northwest breeze of 10 to 20 knots. Tonight, the forecast is very much the same. Again, they just need to get through that barrier out to 120. So that's really going to be the challenge for all the teams today, is to get off the starting line and try to make their way out on the track. For those that want to look in more detail at weather, Lee Chesno has a really good site here, marineweatherbylee.com. He's providing a lot of the weather forecasts for us here in the Transpac. He's got some great links off his site to all the latest weather information from the National Weather Service and others. He does quite a few seminars on the topic, and it's quite a useful site for those that want to dig into that. Now, let's look at a little bit of a preview of who's racing today. This is the scratch sheets. It's available off of the main Transpac website. It's on yachtscoring.com. Our friend Louis Call with Yacht Scoring does a fabulous job of collating all the information for the entries. Division 4 here, Division 5, and Division 6. If we look at these divisions, we can see a variety of different boat types in Divisions 4 and 5, and a little bit more uniform boat types in Division 6. But starting off with Division 4, we've got 2 Rogers 46s, Brett Walla 3 and Varuna 46. The Brett Walla team is from not the East Coast, but from Michigan. They've got Wally Cross on board, very good, well-known sailor. He's giving up his usual gig this weekend of doing the Chicago Mackinac race to go do the Transpac. They've got a very good team. Now, one thing that I want to point out is how this site works. When you get to this page, if you click on the boat name, you get a good synopsis of the type of the boat, how long it is, its colors, what year it was built, where the owner is from, and also a nice rundown of the crew. So this is an excellent resource for more information for those that want to dig into it. The sister ship to Brett Walla 3. The other Rogers 46 is from just down the coast here. Newport Harbor is the Varuna 46, Chris Heeman's boat from Balboa Yacht Club. They've got quite a few all-stars on there as well. Eric Doyle, of course, Rolex Yachtsman of the Year award winner and America's Cup veteran, very good sailor, multiple world champion in many classes. He'll try his hand going offshore along with some very good folks from the Newport Harbor area. Others that I like to see in this class, and which can be quite fast, J125s are light carbon boats. They've proven to be pretty good performers. They have overlapping Genoas, which might be actually pretty good getting off the coast this morning in this light air. So I think you want to keep an eye on Resolute and West Coast Warrior from Canada. This Resolute team, for example, is going with very minimal number of crew, only 5 guys. Chris Bush from San Diego is very good. He's done Transpac many times, and he's also a very good sailor. And with as light a crew as they have, I think they could be quite strong, certainly in the initial phases of getting off the coast. This boat here is interesting, Funnel Web. This team, I understood from last night, actually sailed this boat all the way from Australia, from Melbourne, quite a long way, to Japan, over to the west coast. So they're completing their loop back to the other side of the Pacific by doing Transpac this year. So we wish them best of luck. It's nearly a 50-foot boat at 15.2 meters, but has only 5 guys on it. So I bet they're going to be quite busy over the next few days. Division 5 also has a pretty wide variety of boat types, a couple of 1D35s out there. They're pretty small boats for going 2,225 miles, but quite capable boats. They're proven to be competitive in the past. Japanese entry Crescent 3, coming all the way from Japan to do this race. And then a couple of FAR 40s. FAR 40s, of course, good in light air, so we'll see them get off to a strong start. The Davidson 50 Pipe Dream, I think that I don't know much about this team, but they are from Seal Beach. Being a little bit bigger boat, maybe they'll have a little bit better time having a taller rig in the light air and that sort of thing. But really, I think the preview we want to see here is Division 6. That's going to be the really interesting class to watch in this race. This is a collection of Santa Cruz 50s and Santa Cruz 52s. And they're going to be close enough in speed, certainly in the initial going, that this could be quite a competitive class. These guys are going to be close to each other, so it should be very tactical racing. I think the favorites in the press release last night cited the guys in Horizon on their Santa Cruz 50. The reason is they've won the Transpac in their class at least a couple times, so quite a strong team coming back to do it again here in 2013. And amongst the Santa Cruz 52s, this boat prevailed. Bill Guilfoyle's boat. They won Transpac in their, or I should say, they didn't win the division. They were the top scoring 52 in their division in the 2011 race. So we'd have to call them as also a team to watch here in the next few days. And when I say watch, what do I mean by that? Well, that's this device here, the Yellow Brick tracking system. This is a phenomenal way to be able to enjoy, if the word enjoy is right, but be able to see what's going on the race course. The reason why we're all here as spectators ashore and able to do this is by virtue of this really remarkable tracking system developed by the folks at Yellow Brick. So I'm just going to walk through a few of the features here. Being the first time for this show, there's many tabs here. On the left side is a rundown of the teams and how they color code them in the icons. You can select different divisions. Now you can unselect some of the divisions that are not sailing. So divisions 1, 2, and 3 are not sailing until Saturday. But divisions 4, 5, and 6 will be starting today at 1 o'clock. And then division 7 and 8, of course, are already on the course. Division 0 is a multi-hulls. They'll start on Saturday as well. So that's how that tab works. Leaderboard simply shows who's out on the course and who's doing well in each division. Again, these don't have any data in here now. This Division 5, for example, has not started, but if we go to Division 8, we can see the teams out there, and they're arranged by their positions on the race course. So this is who in that class is doing well and is closer to Hawaii. So we'll come back to that in a moment when we kind of review who's out there now. So the other thing to look at is all the interactive controls that you have. You can zoom in. You can see the track is already laid out here. If you want to take that track off, those controls are up here. These controls in the menu bar on the top allow you to see this in different views. I like to keep all these on because the grids are useful. For example, earlier in my predictions on the weather, we said the weather's going to change west of 120. So using this device, it's useful to know where 120 is, and there it is graphically. You can zoom in and out using this control, which is quite useful. The other thing you can do is go back in time. So you can actually move these boats back on their tracks from when they started a few days ago, scroll them forward and see what their progression has been. Now, time. Time is the other aspect of this that's important to recognize, and that is here. You see 6-hour delayed feed. So what we're actually watching is the position of these boats 6 hours earlier. So here, for example, Stumpy J is a southernmost boat. This gives us a synopsis. When you move your cursor over the icon for that boat, you get all this information, who the boat is, but also their positions at, in this case, 3 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time. We've just ticked over 9 o'clock in the morning here in California. So with a 6-hour delay, this gives us their 300 position Pacific Daylight Time. It gives us their speed and their heading. So these are all nice little snapshots of how these boats are doing out on the course and where they are not in real time. The reason that we've put this delay in is we don't want boats that have a little bit better internet capability than others to be able to track their competitors using this tracker. So we wanted to put this delay in so it doesn't influence how these teams position themselves relative to the others. Now, the other keys to watch here are these guys here. These are little wind arrows. So the predictwind.com folks have provided weather and an overlay of weather. That too is time-stamped. So this gives you a general idea of if you can blow this up at all. I know these icons are very small, but it gives you an idea of the wind direction and the wind speed. So this is quite useful as well to see what the teams are dealing with out where they are now and then what lies ahead for them. If we scroll out and look at the big picture here, you can see, for example, the position of this Pacific High as being right here. You see the clockwise wind gyre is around just about that position there, well off the Northern California, Oregon coast. And you can see the clockwise rotation of all of the winds in all these grids, and how here along the coast it's northerly becomes northeasterly as you get further down the Transpac track, to becoming even more northeasterly as they get toward the trade winds here in Hawaii. The other thing to notice, of course, is the wind speed, and that's color coded here. Color coded and size coded. Small green arrows, I believe, are 10 to 15 knots. Even smaller green arrows, like up here, are less than 10 knots. Or here it's 2 knots actually. So the arrows get larger in proportion to the wind speed, and they change color as well. So here, for example, up off of San Francisco, it's 23.7 knots at 3:45. So this gives you a nice overview of what the weather's doing on the track. Now let's look for a moment at Divisions 7 and 8 and look a bit at their tracks. They're enjoying great racing. They are not at all caught in what we have here on the coast. They're really moving along quite nicely. The boats with icons that have the crown, move this over a little bit. These are the leaders in elapsed time for each of the divisions. So Bob Hayward's Manatea is a 66-foot boat that is moving along quite nicely, 8.5 knots at 257. You can see they're quite well away. Your scale here is 50 nautical miles, is on the scale bar down here in the corner. So that gives you a rough idea of how much of a lead they have on their competitors. One thing we noticed in the tracks yesterday, we could back up in time to see that, but this is kind of the game that is played in Transpac. Is we'll scroll back in time here, and you can see everybody came off the coast quite fast. They had a really good starting conditions on Monday, and those conditions continued. So their tracks are quite straight coming out of the west end and down here. They're following the classic S-curve Transpac course, where you're reaching fast. The further you go south, the better the breeze is. Then in anticipation of getting lifted, then you set spinnakers. Now, we were looking at this yesterday, and it was quite interesting to see how the tracks have these kinks in them. And if I blow that up a little bit, maybe it'll be easier to see. But see, for example, this boat in purple, La Serena. My guess is that they were reaching. They kept getting lifted. The sails that they had, their Genoa or their jib, allowed them to reach up to an angle. They couldn't sail any deeper until finally they reached the crossover point with a spinnaker, set the spinnaker, and bore off, and then went down the track. And you see similar kinks in the curves here. That's quite possibly due to sail changes and not any significant difference in wind speed and directions. But because the wind's been quite constant out here, they've enjoyed great conditions. So in there is that sail change zone where they're switching from jibs to spinnakers. Again, classic Transpac. We look at the track of these guys, St. Vitus Dance. They actually went up quite high, so they chose to go change position from being more of the lower track boat to the upper track. We of course don't know what drove them to that decision, but certainly looking at their track, they made some strategic change in their game plan. So the tracker is quite a nice way to look at this. It's really an invaluable tool. We thank the folks at Yellow Brick for providing that for us and making that available. One thing, we'll go back in here, zoom into the starting area. You won't see the boats who are starting today start to appear in the trackers. Now they've turned their trackers on, and they're all assembled in Long Beach, as you can see, at Rainbow Harbor. I think in about 10 minutes there's a nice parade going to start for them and a celebration of their leaving on this great odyssey across the Pacific. So that's happening now in Long Beach, but you won't see that move again for quite some time because, again, these trackers have a 6-hour delay. So there's a starting area there off Point Fermin Buoy. Ignore all these other tracks. These were probably boats that were on their way out to the start from the earlier division. So this is really a great way to follow this race. We urge everybody to tune in and have a look. Going to go back just here to one other thing to point out, which is our current standing. So based on the ratings of the boats and how long they've sailed so far, we've been able to calculate some corrected times. So in Division 7, for example, Geffion is now in the lead. They actually have a quite sizable lead if you look at their corrected time difference compared to the runner-up Sanssouci. But it gives us nice data on their average speeds, and then how far they've gone in the last 24 hours. So these are quite good times and quite good distances for these boats. These are not particularly fast boats. These are boats that are 7 and 8 knots typically. The faster boats are coming up to start today, and then even faster boats on Saturday. So this first group has gotten a really nice push off the coast. The other couple of boats to look at are Dorade and Westward. Dorade is, of course, Olin Stevens' classic design from 1930. It's a beautiful yawl. It's done the Transpac many times. It's won it, I believe, twice, maybe 3 times in the past, 1950s, 1930s. The current owner, Matt Brooks, has done a really beautiful job of keeping that boat. He says he's not the owner, he's just the custodian. So he's He's doing a great job. They're actually second in corrected time right now, which is remarkable. The other wooden boat out there is Westward. This is a Lapworth 50 that was, again, designed in the 50s, built in 62. They've done Transpac many times, but look at them. They're doing very well in the standings, even amongst these newer boats. Manatea, who's punched out well in front, and has a big lead in actual time, actually is a little bit sagging in corrected time. So this gives you a good summary of how everybody's doing and how the trophies will get awarded come trophy time when we get to Hawaii. So that's our report for today. I will come back tomorrow once we get classes 4, 5, and 6 off the starting line this afternoon. I urge everybody to tune in to Facebook and Twitter. We've got great social media tools out there, and they're doing great work for us. So we urge everybody to follow us along here at Transpac 2013, and thank you for joining us. I'm Dobbs Davis from Seahorse Magazine, and we'll say so long for now and catch you again tomorrow.